Hi, this is Lydia. My new channel is Lydia Bates Create. So I am going to do a discussion on clay part 2. This is some of the clay that I purchased from Hobby Lobby. I did about 2 different orders, which totals $200, and I saved about $165 shopping on their 40% off sale. So let's discuss a few things. Now, the nice thing about clay is that you can pretty much use different brands, which I've always done. Excuse me, but my primary brand is Primo. Now this is Primo Translucent. One of the reasons why I like Primo Translucent is that it blends really easily and you can stretch out clay. So for example, when I purchased my cheaper clay, which is Sculpey, on my, Walmart for just $7, this is a whole pound. I've seen pounds of clay of Sculpey sold for $12 on Michael's, and I believe it was on Hobby Lobby. But the point is, I've stocked up on this particular brand because I'm going to be mixing it, and then the ratio is maybe like a quarter. Like this is 2 ounces, so it'll be a quarter ounce of this clay mixed with 2 ounces of this clay. So it's going to be a quarter ounce of Sculpey, or a quarter ounce of Sculpey roughly, or maybe just say about I would say half or a quarter ounce of Sculpey mixed with the Primo. And I do that because it helps stretch things out, and it depends on the application. So for example, if I'm making anything that's going to be like handled a lot, then I straight use Primo. And of course I bought a lot of colors, and I didn't know which colors to get. I just kind of mixed it up. I typically mix my clay because these colors, this is forest green. It's very highly pigmented, so I definitely will be mixing it all with probably translucent. And when I make my next clay order, which would be pretty soon, I'm going to be buying pretty much your basic black, your basic white, and translucent until I'm out of my colors. So when I say I'm mixing things, I don't know the performance of this particular clay. This one is from 5 and Below, and I don't use it straight. I will be mixing it with Primo Translucent. And the reason why I like to do it this way is because it stretches my budget out a little bit better. That particular one from 5 and Below is just $5, so it helps stretch it out. And I can do prototypes. A lot of times I will make a piece to see how it looks, and then I'll mass produce it and just say Primo. It depends on what it is. There's a content creator on, she's on, I think I saw her on Instagram. In fact, a lot of these creators and sellers that makes things out of clay, they only use the cheaper clays. So it's this one. They use the one from Michael's called Craft Smart. I was really surprised. But the nice thing about using different clays is that you can mix them. And I'm not really a person that overly criticizes things, so I just say I've done it before, and yes, it does work. But what I like about the translucent part is that, especially when I do the Mukume Gane cane, beautiful results. Especially when you want to put in, like, I'll do a combination, for example, of blues and greens and doing different shades of it, and then I'll stack them up. And I'll be doing one of those canes pretty soon, because I just purchased my silver leaf. So the Mukume Gane cane is a really popular cane, and the results are phenomenal. You'll get different results every time. But usually when I use a translucent clay and I throw in things such as glitter, you can use coffee grounds. I've used that before. I've used spices, like a pumpkin spice, I believe it was. And I also use a tea bag. Oh my goodness. I put the translucent clay, I put a little ball of a colored clay like orange, and then I mixed it through and added a tea bag. The tea that's in, the loose tea mixed with the clay, is a beautiful result. So I'm going to be, I forgot about that technique. So yeah, that's a good one too. So you can use sand, You can use, like I said, glitters, chunky glitters, fine glitters. I've used coffee grounds before in clay. Black pepper. I've used black pepper in the clay before too. So don't be afraid to mix different things with your clay. And again, it depends on what you're using it for. I always recommend a certain thickness when you are rolling it out. Depends on what you're using it for. You kind of have to use common sense, but I never roll my things too thinly. You can go pretty thin though with your Sculpey Primo, but you just have to kind of do a test. I'm not big on the bending test. I thought to myself when I started getting back into clay, I'm saying, what's all these people bending the clay for once they bake it? I don't do that nonsense. But as long as you know it's not going to break, when you put in something like Sculpey, primarily Sculpey, with your other clays that are a little weaker, it'll still give you best results. One of the content creators on Instagram, she only sculpted in Primo. She only sculpted in using Sculpey, but she resined every piece, and she dropped one on the actual video. She dropped it. She picked it up, no breakage. Because she had it coated in resin as her final step once it was baked. So don't be afraid to test out different things. Because I have so much experience, I'm not going to be testing it. I already know it works. I'll be using UV resin, and I'll be using the traditional epoxy resin. Just be sure to use safety precautions. I should be using a ventilated area, and you should get the mask, which I won't be wearing a mask because I can't breathe with the mask on. But I'll be working in a ventilated area or even outside. But we'll show that later on. But just remember, these are the best choices. I don't use female. I don't like female. I know they have female soft, which I might get some of that later on. But your Primo is made in this country, and it is actually. Wait a minute. Let me make sure of that. Yes, it is. It is made. It says made in U.S. of U.S. and global materials. So that can mean a lot of things. But I'm pretty sure they produced this up in Elk Grove, Illinois, I believe. That's the company called Polymer, and you can order directly from them. I used to order them from them before, but if you're trying to stay on budget and you want things a little bit cheaper, I recommend Hobby Lobby, because Michaels doesn't do a 40% off all the time, and when they did it 40% off, it wasn't consistent. I would put stuff in my shopping cart, then all of a sudden the sale was over. But if you go on Hobby Lobby's app, the nice thing about Hobby Lobby, they'll tell you the date, the time frame that will be on sale till. So I highly recommend shopping on Hobby Lobby. And I've done about 2 orders so far, maybe 3. I also got some really good molds they use for baking and candy making. I've gotten those too from Hobby Lobby, and they're always on sale. They keep that on sale for some reason, so that's even better. So just remember, these options are there for everyone. I think Hobby Lobby runs that 40% off like every other week or so, every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, whichever. So that's when I buy and stock up. So right now I am sitting on, I think at least $200 plus, probably more like $300 worth of clay. As you can see, I got a good stash. And one of the secrets, I actually want it's called a Lucy Cake clay machine. Lucy clay machines are $700, so no, I'm not getting one now. But I was able to pick up this Crafters Collection clay motor. Now the only thing about this motor is they don't give you a lot of information about the maintenance of it, but it is a little noisy. However, I tested it out and it works fine. So I have it already hooked up to my my pasta machine, and I did buy a very generic pasta machine. I got it off of, actually I got it on Temu because it was only $13. So this is the generic pasta machine. Most pasta machines are constructed the same way. I wasn't sure if it would actually fit this motor, but my brain analyzed the type of machine that I have versus the one that was on Hobby Lobby. It looked the same, and I made the assumption that it fits, and it does fit. So it has an on and off switch there, and you just bolt it in. And let me see, what did I do? I just stuck it in, and I think there was a bolt somewhere that I had to screw on. I think it's this one. No, it wasn't this one, but it was a bolt that you screw on, but it's relatively easy and it's pretty much on. Yes, this is the bolt that I had to put on here. So very easy to put onto your machine. You take the handle off, stick this on, and you're good to go. Now, it's not it's something that I got temporarily. On Amazon, I noticed there was a $75 motorized pasta machine, which I may get later. My main concern is burning it out, because when I do caning, for example, there's a cane where you would actually take translucent clay and translucent Primo, and then you're going to use another white, and then you do stacks, and then you'll see that it comes looking like bone. That technique I've seen back in the 80s. I'm going to bring that back to life. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll be doing that demonstration shortly. But I'm a little concerned about this motor because I think I might burn it out eventually. But it was only $18, and for $18, the Temu had the pasta machine for $13, and this is the cheapest you can get for a setup. I did test it out; it was perfect. And of course, you can just, as all pasta machines, you would just change the thickness on this side, depending on how thin or thick you want it. Pull it out and turn. And there's up to 7 different, it goes from 1 to 7 on the side. So that is really cool. So I was really proud of myself because I had health problems, and over the years, I realized that I don't have the dexterity like I used to. So having this machine should speed things up. It's really not about speeding things up. It's just that I don't want to hand crank something 100 times, because conditioning clay is very important, as you may already know. But sometimes you have to hand condition, especially when you're putting inclusions like the tea bags technique, the loose tea technique, or the pepper, or the glitter. That stuff gets hand rolled and the stuff gets blended in with the clay by hand, not through the machine, because you don't want your machine to be damaged, and sometimes you don't want that stuff to stick in there. So I just will be conditioning just the clay only in that machine, and anything I add to it will be hand done. But it's really hard for me to keep going. I get very tired. I have a couple of health conditions that are pretty serious, but they're manageable. So the motor was like my gift to say, oh God, yes, finally got the motor. So I can now condition things, especially when you're mixing all these colors up like I plan on doing. And speaking about mixing, I don't do like colors charts. Some people are meticulous, and they'll take the time out and they'll mix certain colors, write it down. I don't do all that. You know, I find that being a polymer clay artist, I like to freeform things. I don't take special orders, so I work at my own pace, at my own means. I kind of know how to mix colors. Obviously, it's, you know, you can do red and yellow mix orange. Then you can put the intensity higher or lower. Excuse me. If you add any colors to white, you'll get a pastel color. It's those common sense techniques. But some people are very meticulous, and they'll do all these different charts, and they do samples. That's not necessary. The only time you might want to do that if you have to repeat certain colors, which is important, because some people, if they're making like a series of, say, worry stones in the same color, well, you got to have your mix down. So some people just use straight clay and they don't even mix it, but which is probably the best way to do it when you're mass producing. But I don't work like that. I will notate. I probably will make notes when I make a finished product. I'll probably be making notes along the way on what colors I might have used, because if you want people to place an order, and if you sell out, you've got to be able to reproduce more of it. So you know, it's just a matter of trying to stick with what you know and be consistent. but I don't like to drive myself crazy being consistent either. So it's you know, it's, you got to just take the good with the bad and try to figure out what you can handle. But anyway, so that's my clay stash that I wanted to share with you. And the other clay that I don't have, I have it, but I don't have it in front of me. Or maybe I do have it. Hang on a minute. No, I don't have it. It's the Cernit clay. Now, Cernit clay, this is going back many years. When I first worked in Cernit clay, Cernit, some people compared it to something called Bakelite, which is a plastic that they made jewelry out of in the 50s and around that era. But it comes out sort of like that. But I did buy one block of translucent Cernit. It was like $17 for, I think, a half a pound, which is really expensive. But I'll just experiment with that, but I don't rely on that. I basically will be using Primo translucents with all the different colors that Primo offers, and some Primo Souffle as well, and Sculpey, of course. But you know, there's a lot of clays out there. The main thing is when you decide to run a business, you have to make sure you can get your supplies in hand. My goal is to do test pieces right now, or say the first piece. We're going to do the first piece, and then we're going to continue with that. But at least I think most people make it between about 5 to 10. They usually go with about 10. Well, actually, I don't know, but I'm thinking of if you make something, make at least a good 5 to 10 of them to sit on your shelf, all ready to be shipped. I definitely will, if it is one of a kind pieces, I'll make sure it's known, because sometimes it is hard to reproduce things and make it look exactly alike, especially if you're diversified like I'm going to be. But a lot of people that make the worry stones, they do a good job. But I noticed that they consistently make the same things over and over again. They change up a little bit, but I guess they have to see what sells, what customers want. So it's always a little bit of a, you know, test to see what will work, what will not work, and then to go from there. My microphone does not want to stay on for some reason. Excuse me. But anyway, so to recap, my go-to is shopping from Hobby Lobby at the 40% off sale in terms of just buying clay. My backup plan is to use Michaels, since I have 2 local Michaels stores. Also, Michaels, you can also set up a to have your item shipped. To get free shipping, you got to spend at least $50. And Hobby Lobby, I believe, is around the same amount. It may be $75 or $60, I forget. But I always like to get free shipping if I'm going to place an order. I don't pay for shipping at all. So those are the 2 major options: Hobby Lobby, of course, Michaels. And you can also get clay on Amazon. But something about Amazon, I just think that it's not always the best place to buy it. It just depends. I usually get other things on Amazon, like all my jewelry findings, the keychain findings. I've gotten like different things that I use for clay, like all the screw eyes and the eye pins. That's what's good about shopping on Amazon. And I've gotten my printers, my scale, all from Amazon. And they usually have prices. Sometimes they put things on sale on those prices, so it all depends what you're looking for. But I have just about everything I need to start. It's just a matter of me starting. So I wanted to come on today to give you some feedback on the clays that are out there. And there's other brands as well. But the brands that I haven't used yet, like this one, I have bought about 5 packs of this one. And this is the Clay Studio Cool Colors. This was $10. It's for 6 2-ounce blocks. But it seems pretty, it seems actually soft. So, you know, it depends on what you need. Sometimes soft clay is good. Sometimes you want it firmer. One of the techniques that I wanted to tell you is, if something seems too soft, you can always put it in the freezer for a little bit, like an hour or less. Depends on how quick you want it to be firm. Sometimes I put the clay in the molds and put the molds in the freezer for like 15-20 minutes. Not an hour, it's usually about 15-20 minutes. Take it out and then demold it so that the structure is a little bit firmer, and then you'll be able to pop it out pretty easily. So that's one thing that I like to do. So there's like endless possibilities when using polymer clay. That's what I love about it. But My only concern is I don't want to run out of something and can't order stuff in a timely fashion. That's the only worry that I do have. Trying to make sure, especially when you're in a busy season, you don't want to say, hey, let's order from this company or that company, and then they don't have it available. So that's the only thing that kind of gets me a little worried. But I am going to be calling the Polyform company probably this week sometime so I can get an idea on how this is going to all work. Because I never had a problem ordering from them, but I noticed on Hobby Lobby, yes, some colors were completely sold out, especially when I wanted to get bigger. I wanted to get 8 ounces or a pound of Primo, and they didn't have a lot of it. So that's the problem. And but I was able to get some Primo already in white and black, but not a whole lot of it. But just have to kind of be careful about your supplies and not wait to the last minute to order, because I have a feeling that you may not always get what you need. But when you're starting out like me, it's nothing to worry about, just to think about it, just to have yourself ready, just to have things available. And then one thing I wanted to point out too, I had a couple series I discussed about different websites to use on. One thing I forgot, when you're picking your website, now I know that if you use Etsy, you can put your site on vacation mode, but what I like about the other sites, such as Shopify or Big Cartel, you can turn off your site completely, turn it off, and then when they do their shop drops, when they have the products ready to be sold or they do pre-orders, well, that means that they can load the site on, and then they'll like pick a date, say like August 31st. They'll say, okay, I'm going to start my products to be sold starting August 31st. They can plan it out better so that when they sell out, they don't have to be in such a rush to say, oh, I sold out. They turn off their shop. So when you go on these sites, I was on Instagram, and then at the top of where their information is, you can click on the link and it'll bring you to their website, and then their website, you can't buy anything. Now that's a good thing and a bad thing. I think if you work by yourself and you're an individual person, that's a good thing, because there's sometimes no way you can keep up with your demand. Sometimes you have to get colors shipped in and different products that you ran out of. So I forgot to mention that, some of the features when you have your own private site is a lot easier to manage. And sometimes, you have life happens and you have things that happen and you need to take time off, or you have to go on a vacation or tend to a sick or sick person, or whatever the case may be, and there may be interruptions in your work schedule for your business. So just remember, those are some good options out there to just put your account on hold once you're sold out, or whatever the case may be. So just think of those things. And again, I am going to be I'm going to be taking a break, and I'll be coming back online. I said it earlier, but I'll be coming back online, and then I will be sharing some real work, some hands-on clay work, because I am behind. I wanted to launch this a while ago, but sometimes it really pays to wait, because obviously, you got to do your research, you got to get your supplies in, and trust me, I don't think I could even do a video that shows all. I would have to break it up in like 10 sessions, the amount of stuff that I bought, because I actually buy everything on sale, and I've been buying a lot of things on certain sites, but I think I pretty much am done. I am finally happy to report that I have basically got everything I need. The only thing that's missing is a printer, and as I stated earlier, I am going to be doing a mail club, but I'm not going to go over the next part, like what kind of mail club. I'm not telling you that part. That's a secret. But it is something that has not been done. I've done my research. I have not seen it done at all. And I am very excited, because I think it would work out well. I've seen people do mail clubs with the charms of polymer clay. I've seen them do earrings and worry stones. I see mail clubs for those things. And then if you go on Etsy, I put in mail clubs, and I've seen people do a cookie mail club, I think a personal care mail club, or a club in a sense, where they would order, like you would sign up to the club and get shipments every month, but you can either buy 3 months club membership, or you can do like 6 months or a year. Excuse me. So that's what a mail club is. But also, the other side of a mail club, some people just send mail. There's people that draw many pictures, or they'll like copy them, and they'll put like stickers in there. They'll put like a recipe, or they'll put like a little like story, a fantasy story. So mail clubs are pretty popular. If you go to Instagram, you'll be surprised. And some of these people, I tell you, are so overwhelmed they have to hire help. This one woman started her mail club, and and men do it too, not just women. Man, they had to quit their full-time job. Isn't that something? And they, there's a lot that goes into mail clubs. Sometimes they just put it in an envelope and have to pay for the stamp, whereas other mail clubs are more involved. This is like what I'm going to be doing. Not much more involved. It's the same concept, but I'm going to be adding something on top of all that. So just remember, there's always options out there. Don't always pressure yourself to start at a certain date. Do what I did, at least do some research before you start, and try to, the next step would be is to gauge production on a calendar time scale. So for example, and I'm glad I brought this up, I'm just thinking of this, as you approach the holiday season, say for example by the say the third week of August, you want to have your Halloween production done. Now when I say production, you can do your basic things that you might think is going to sell. You may not have everything done, but just be able to launch Halloween in the month of August, because a lot of people are already doing it, by the way. And Halloween really is technically sold all year round. I use the term Gothic. I have different files on my apps that I use, and I always put the word Gothic, which means that it's a little darker, a little gorier. I don't really like working in Gothic clay, but when I was invited to a show in Allentown years ago, it was near Copley, I believe. She wanted my pieces because she was so impressed with it. So unfortunately, I think I lost touch with her on Facebook. But anyway, Gothic stuff sells really big, and it sells over time. So I'm going to be doing Gothic pieces and different things. So I'm excited. I think it's nice to be excited about things. A lot of times, life throws you curveballs. For example, speaking of curveball, so I had met someone online I told myself I wasn't going to be bothered with online dating. Met somebody, and then he was local, lives about a few miles from me, in fact. So we started talking, and I did not go out on the first time he asked me for a date. The second or third time, I said, well, now I'm going to have to say yes. He keeps asking. And it turned out he was a wonderful man, what I looked for, yada, yada, yada. Everything was good. I would cook for him because he works long hours. I did whatever I thought was necessary. I didn't have to cook for him, but I did it out of my kindness of my heart. Because when I cook in batches, and it's usually too much food for me. So I share my food with my neighbors and stuff. But the point is, it was exciting that we had birthdays in August, and I celebrated my 58th birthday August 4th. And what happens? What's today? The 10th? So as of like the 9th, it all went sour. I don't know what happened, but he decided to date somebody else. Can you believe that? And when we were talking earlier, obviously he wasn't sure, and I went to my mom and said, Mom, my mom lives in Florida. I said, you know what, Mom, I'm going to launch this business and forget these men, just have fun with my life and launch my business, because crafting really makes me happy, and it still does after all these years. I always find that it's peaceful. It's not there's not a lot of pressure, even though there's a little bit of pressure with the selling platforms and getting that started. But overall, it gives you peace, it gives you comfort and happiness. And I had told my mother, in my brain is telling me, Michelle, even my sister-in-law said, yeah, just do your crafts, Michelle, you'll be much happier. And thank goodness I have started this already, because I'm not quitting. I thought about it for a second, but I said, you know what? This issue with these men, throw it to the side and forget about it. Because when it comes down to it, it's what makes you happy. And even if things don't work out, you're throwing a curveball, who cares? Move on. Because life is too short not to be happy. And, I'm pretty much a homebody, single person, and I like, making things. I've always made things and sold it for profit. So it's always nice to do something that you can not only sell and make, but you enjoy making. And, when you have boyfriends and husbands, technically they get in the way. And I hate to put it that way, but it's true. They can get in the way, and they can be disruptive, even though they don't mean to be disruptive. But when you're able to do things without those distractions, it's really nice. Even my cat here, I have a cat, and he sometimes gets in my way. I don't know if you can see him. There you go. Occasionally he gets in the way, but he sleeps most of the day, and he's out of my way. So, so I just think that it's a good thing to have a plan, and it's good to have goals. I have a lot of other goals, but this is my current goal because I'm on a downslide from working 2 jobs. I now have 1 job, and guess what? I have just as much money, and I'm actually a whole lot happier. I'm not stressed out. So you have to work within your means, and if you like doing something, whether it's watercolors or drawing or painting with acrylics or painting in oils or woodworking or making soap and candles, find your niche and do it well. That's really my biggest advice. And sometimes you might start something and not like it. I actually took a class online, an introductory class on using colored pencil, and I thought, I love the results, but to sit there and hashtag and slide your pencil how many hundreds of times to get the result is a little bit too much. Now, I will be using some colored pencils in my work, which is under the mixed media type of description, but I don't like it as much. It does take a little bit longer to use regular colored pencil drawings, but at any rate, I love to learn and dabble in stuff just to see what it's like, and I know I don't really like that, but I will be still utilizing that in my work. So the main thing is find what you love and do it. What's stopping you? The only person that's stopping you is you. And if you find that certain people are in your life, and it's sometimes it is too much. I don't have any kids to get in my way. I have a cat. And I work from home, so I have even the biggest advantage. And I might even work from home permanently. I'm not sure yet, but I think I may because it's easier. It's probably a little bit more expensive because I have to run my fans. I have like 3 fans, and I have to run my air conditioner because of my breathing condition that I have here. It's not a breathing condition, I have a heart condition. So that might be easier for me to work from home because my office has no air conditioning, so I work from home right now. But the point is, you kind of have to build your life around your business, and your business has to build around you. So those things are never easy to negotiate. I'm just glad that I don't have to negotiate around men, husbands, boyfriends, children. Those are off the table. I don't have to worry about that. But if you do have children and husbands, you will understand that sometimes you have to get dinner on the table. You got to feed the baby, you got to change the baby, you have other things to do besides craft. So that is a little bit of a challenge, but because I don't have that, I have no excuses anymore. I've done my research, I'm ready to get started. So I was trying to figure out other things to talk about, but I think I reached my limit. So I'm done talking, and now we're going to get to work. I'm going to be taking a dinner break, and then I'm going to be coming back on live shortly. So obviously I don't know if anybody's watching. I haven't been able to tell, but just remember to like and subscribe on Lydia Bates Creates, because I'm trying to reach at least 50 subscribers so I can post directly on that site. I have 2 subscribers right now. Also, if you subscribe to Lydia Bates Creates, probably in the next few weeks to 30 days, I will be picking people to get some of my first items that I make. We don't know what it is yet. It may be a polymer clay pen, it could be a ornament, or it could be a lighter case. I don't know yet, but that's the reason why I'm doing this giveaway, just to drum up more subscribers. That should help. And I might be giving them a painting too. That's another thing I might do. So please subscribe to Lydia Bates Creates on YouTube. I don't think I do have my site up on Instagram. I think it's either Lydia Bates Creates or Lydia's Art Studio. I'm not sure. And then I'll make sure I link those things later on when I figure out what it is that I kind of forgot. But I will link those on this video later. And thank you for watching. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.